situations. Can they do a good job while they leave responsibilities at home? Anyway, January 16, 1937, we left for Spain.
I think basically it was because I was a nurse that I was very upset about the kind of things that were happening, not only to Jews in Germany, people in Spain and people in Ethiopia. And, you know, for a while I thought this had nothing to do with us, that these people had to fight their own battles. I was against another world war. I was sort of an isolationist without thinking about it. But as things got worse, and when they went into a country that just had democratically elected a new government, and our own government, which said they were democratic and believed in elections, put an embargo on them, I was terribly upset.
I was not a political person because you shifted too much.
See, I didn't know about fascism. Here's the thing that brought everything to me. It was the way Germany was treating the Jews. I never really thought that white people do against white people because we don't look at you as French or Italian. You're white. I had met a lot of Jewish people who had left Germany, and they told us about what Hitler was doing to them. It was like the Ku Klux Klan. So now we're matching what is happening in Germany to the Jews to us here in the United States. So I went downtown to this meeting, and the meeting was all these people from foreign countries. And they said to me that they hope to go to work with the Republican side. So they said, would you like to go with us? I said, yes. The next thing I knew, I was accepted to go to Spain.
Personally, I went because my husband was there. And I got to Madrid early in October. And I felt I had a skill, and I could work there. I could contribute to the fight against fascism that we knew was taking place.
Oh, it was all around me from the time the war started. By that time, I wasn't exactly politicized, but I was certainly aware. And I was in the United States Public Health Service, the Marine Hospital. It took care of the various trade unions from the waterfront. Early in 1937, I volunteered to the Spanish War Relief Organization. I had to pass some examinations, and they wanted to be sure that they weren't sending out an adventurous. I was sort of overweight, and I wore glasses. I wore my hair in a bun, and it's hardly likely I would look like an adventurous. It was just the same. And they all passed me, and I went on to New York and joined up with a group of people from Chicago and here and there.
Somebody mentioned that nurses were needed in Spain, and I decided I would apply. And I was accepted immediately, and I was to leave in 1 month. There was one question that asked, why do you want to go to Spain? And all I wrote was to fight against fascism. And I was accepted.
We sailed on the Normandy, the flagship of the French line, on the 19th of May. Ocean liner sailings are very exciting, but to the 21 of us sailing for Spain, there was a small undercurrent of special excitement because most of us thought that we might never return. We understood we were starting out on a dangerous errand of mercy, but nobody talked about that much. We sailed out of New York Harbor and took a long last look at the Statue of Liberty.
I didn't even want to go to Spain. I had to. Because it didn't make sense to Max Perkins when I visited him in his office 5 days before I sailed. He looked at me as one might at a child. What's the matter with all of you, he asked. Hemingway has gone off, Dos Passos is there, Martha Gellhorn's going, and now you. Don't you know that Madrid is going to be bombed out? It won't do you any good to go about with the stars and stripes pinned on your chests or on your heads. They won't see or care.
From the first day the Republic came in 1931, right-wing groups commenced to plot its downfall.
If the madman Hitler really sends 2 divisions to Spain, my bet is that the war is nearer than even the pessimists thought. It is horrible to think of Germany just this side of food riots, and that maniac being able to lead a perfectly good nation into something that will finish them up nicely. Things are blowing up so badly everywhere. I want to be in Spain desperately. If you're part of a big thing, you feel safe. It's only waiting and looking on from the outside that makes one feel nervous and lost.
Since Barcelona, where we met Luis Companys, president of Catalonia, and other officials, we were convoyed down to Valencia. There we were again besieged by countless official receptions. Eddie Barsky says this is a boring war, because we haven't done anything yet. At night, in the hotel and in the streets, which are completely unlighted, we could hear the reports of guns and mortars only a mile and less away. In the daytime, the streets are absolutely filled with people. The morale of the population is superb. Eddie, Miss Martin, and I left Valencia 4 days ago with a representative of the health department for Madrid, where we made a tour of the front-line trenches. While looking over the enemy line a couple of 100 yards away, a bullet sang past Eddie's right ear. We both ducked. We visited hospitals and classification stations in order to get a perspective of the hospitalization in Madrid. We expect to open a hospital on a front where we are needed more badly.
I really had nothing vital to do until Dr. Bethune came. He came without a definite plan, but when he visited the hospitals and saw the difficulty of performing blood transfusions, he decided that that was the service he would build up. The Americans sent a whole hospital, and Canada sent the Dr. Bethune and money for the blood transfusions. When I heard about it, I said, here I am, a laboratory technician, Dr. Bethune. Can I help?
I was with the 2nd American Medical Unit, the lone representative of the Negro race. The Negro men who fight for loyalist Spain never tire of telling how they celebrated when they got the news that the medical unit included a Negro nurse. I was so excited over going to Spain, I did not realize that many other Negroes had already recognized Spain's fight for freedom and liberty as a part of our struggle, too. Almost 100 young Negro men were already fighting Hitler and Mussolini's forces here in Spain.
We came to Valencia and were met by a press representative of one of the large New York papers. The first thing he did was take all our names and addresses. That was in case something happened to us, he informed our group leader. That was a most uncheerful prospect. We also learned that Valencia had suffered a very severe air raid the night before, and many people had been killed. The fascists claimed that they never bombed cities except for military objectives. That was my first piece of evidence that they were liars. There could be little military objective in bombing an area such as the town square.
Women are standing in line, as they do all over Madrid. Quiet women, dressed usually in black, with market baskets on their arms, waiting to buy food. A shell falls across the square. They turn their heads to look and move a little closer to the house, but no one leaves her place in line. After all, they have been waiting there for 3 hours, and the children expect food at home. Now, people are leaning close against the houses, and the shells are falling so fast that there is almost no time between them to hear them coming. Then for a moment it stops. An old woman, holding a terrified little boy by the hand, runs out into the square. She is in the middle of the square when the next one comes. A small piece of twisted steel sprays off from the shell. It takes the little boy in the throat. The old woman stands there, holding the hand of the dead child, and men run out toward her to carry the child. At the side of the square is a huge, brilliant sign which says, "Get out of Madrid."
We are now settled in a new schoolhouse with no sanitary facilities, a very feeble electric line, no telephone, and no water. We went immediately to the alcalde, head of the Popular Front, asking him for the full cooperation of the village in the installation and operation of the hospital. They did absolutely everything for us. We had orders to open the hospital for work in 48 hours, and we were giving everything we had, every one of us, to have the hospital ready. The roads for 6 kilometers on either side of us were so bad that it would have killed a patient to take him over them in ambulances. We spoke to the alcalde, and the next day, literally thousands of men, all those not fighting at the front, were working on the road. I can't tell you the feeling it gave me when we took the first bus over the road. And all along the way, salud, salud from every one of them. On the third day, the patients began to pour in. The doctors and nurses were working 40 hours without stopping, going from one major operation to the next. Practically all the soldiers we got were badly wounded, and all had to have operations. Many of them were shot through the skull, others through the chest, and numbers of them had nasty abdominal perforations. Every operation that Dr. Edward Barsky performed was really a work of art. One night at 2 o'clock, in the middle of an operation, the battery went dead. All of us ran for our flashlights, and with the feeble glimmer of 8 flashlights, Dr. Barsky finished removing a shattered kidney.
So much has been crowded into the last few weeks that I have lost all perspective of time. Dr. Bethune left for Barcelona, leaving me in charge of the Blood Trust. It proved to be a golden opportunity to work with the very able assistance of 2 Spanish doctors, Antonio and Vicento, who were to do the actual extractions and transfusions. Many times I accompanied one of the doctors to the hospital and actually assisted. Never having worked with wounded people before, I was appalled at the sight of so much blood and such bloodless faces. Their cries and groans haunted me for days.